Hey, nerds, and hey, Mariah. Another week. We were supposed to say week 2, but no, another week of House of the Dragons, season 2, episode 2. For some reason, Mariah has decided to name this studio Rhaenyra the Cruel, and I denounce that. I just want you to know that right now.
Well, it's the name of the episode.
Oh, it was?
Really? Isn't that crazy? That's the name of the episode after watching the episode. What a terrible name for the episode.
That's awful.
Yeah,
I can think of a few other names for that episode. Not Rhaenyra the Cruel.
No, I know. It doesn't make sense. So
I get it, but I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, how are you this week?
Good.
Good.
Another week.
It's been a busy week. It's been a hectic week. So I'm excited to just slow down and pause and talk all things episode 2 with you. I'm going to just talk about my drink real quick because I literally just went to go grab dinner. I think anyone can tell from the color of the cup and the straw what it is. And I drunk the level of the Coke down to an acceptable level where I could just pour whiskey in and bring it back up to the top. So that is my drink for the night. Coke and whiskey. What are you drinking?
Okay, so I actually didn't have anything, and I was gonna do. So Eric got this, like the sweet pineapple infused rum from Puerto Rico. His friend sent him. It was super good, so I was gonna do that. But then I saw there was a bottle of red wine, or like not red wine, but rosé on the table, and I was like, "Oh, Eric went and bought me wine," but no, the bottle he found in the back of my seat of my car. Guess I don't know. I don't remember buying it. I don't know how long it's been there, but I poured myself a glass with little ice cubes, and that's what I'm having.
Nice. So you just had a random bottle of rosé in the back of your car?
Yeah.
That's funny.
No idea.
I too have a bottle with me that came from Puerto Rico back here.
That white Hennessy? White.
Yes. So next week we should make Puerto Rico themed drinks with our bottles from Puerto Rico.
And it has like actual pieces of pineapple inside. It's pretty cool. It's really good.
Oh, I don't know. I don't have all that. It's just a regular bottle with alcohol in it. I don't know. All right. Well, episode 2, unjustly called Rhaenyra the Cruel. This week it's just chaos. The baby has been murdered. Everyone is running around. Folks have been rounded up. Aegon is losing it, rightfully so, in the background. Breaking Viserys's the buildings that he put together. And I don't know if you saw Patty's Instagram post where he basically was like, you know, he's breaking my Lego sets. Or it was some meme that he reposted on Instagram where he was like watching Aegon. I didn't see it. It's him from heaven watching Aegon like tear up the Lego buildings. It was pretty funny that he also got in on the joke. So that was pretty cool. He's not in a good space right now. The last time we saw him, he was very lovingly talking about the small folk, how much he needed them. And in this episode, they are traitors and villains, and he declares war. So it's really sad.
Definitely a new side of him. No, just saying, definitely now we're finally like the new side of him. Like we're finally seeing like the rage, the revenge, like where this whole thing is gonna like brew from.
I get it though. I mean, someone comes
100%.
Yeah, your space and murders your child in a pretty grotesque way. If he didn't act in that manner, I would question it.
Yeah, especially since I think we talked about it last time. He didn't get to have the same relationship with his father. And being like the heir, that wasn't even a thought. That wasn't his destiny, I guess, growing, up. So having the son that he's already been trying to bring into council meetings and like really show, like you could see it a lot more like hurt and pain.
Yeah. Actually, we'll talk about it later, but this episode actually had me feeling sad for a few people that I have not felt sad for, or just had me feeling things for things that people that I had not felt anything for recently. Otto and Allison is crying, but it doesn't feel like Allison is crying, but it doesn't feel like it's for the child. And then she breaks down and says what they've done to my girl. So she is pretty torn up about Helena. Helena has always had a soft spot for her, of course. So she's like, what they've done to my girl. So she's upset about that. The gods are punishing me. And Otto was like, what the fuck are they punishing you for? For what? But we know why.
Yeah, we know why. Yeah.
She thinks the gods are punishing her. She's probably right, but I don't know. Small council gets together. Aegon is again upset. My son is my legacy, and demanding to know where Kristen is. Camera, all eyes go to him.
A bed.
I was abed. To which Aegon was like, "What the fuck do you mean you were in bed? Like
protecting my family. You were sleeping."
Yeah, it was crazy. But Laris walks in at that moment. Actually, Laris walked in right when Laris walked in and watched it while he was screaming and rageful at Crispin, and then he slightly turned to his mother, and just as he started to holler and scream at his mother, he was like, you've had pity on her this whole time. That's when Laris steps in and announces, "Hey, we found the person fleeing the city with the head still in a bag." Yeah. So Laris kind of stepped in and saved Alicent.
And to go back from Laris, from just the very, very first scene when we see them pulling all the servants and maids and housekeepers out, my very first thought was, I hope they think that Laris is a traitor, because in the episode before, we heard him say that he replaced all of her maids or whatever with his own people. So I was hoping there was a connection that they would just turn on him as being a traitor. Or hopefully, I don't know if it's probably not going to come up anymore, but I was really hoping that. And then when he came in right away, I was like, oh yeah, he's trying to do damage control.
You wanted Laris to be seen as
yes.
Oh, okay.
A traitor of some sort.
All right. I mean, I feel like he'll have his comeuppance. I didn't expect it to be in that scene, but I see what you mean. Otto's like, blame game doesn't matter. I've seen the memes of likening him to Kris Kardashian. He's like, for our family, this is a travesty, but for the throne,
the devil works hard, but Otto works harder. 100%.
Oh my God,
he put that PR spin instantly.
In his mind, he's like, couldn't have asked for anything better. This landed right in our laps, and we are going to use this. And it kind of broke my heart again for Aegon, because he's like, no, I'm not going to have my son's body dragged through the streets like a dead dog. Not going to do it. And then they kind of look at Alicent to be like, look, we got to do this. And she was all on board until Otto said, yeah, you and Helaena are props too. Back of that carriage, right behind the body, weeping widows or weeping mothers. So we need you in there too. Jaehaerys will do more for us now than 1,000 knights in battle. That is such a crazy thing to say about your grandson that was just beheaded. That is insane.
And then when he even says, he was my grandson too, I did love him. It's and his face is total, just you don't see any genuine remorse on your face at all. You're just so pumped about this this death that it's going to help you guys out. You could just see it on his face the entire time. Yeah.
And he also does this thing too, where he kind of keeps Aegon in check, because Aegon is like, I don't want to be seen as weak. And he's like, look, you've been weak this entire time. We had to hurry up and coronate you. A dragon bursted through the floors and basically threatened us and, at face. Flew off. One of your prisoners flew off. You've been seen as weak this entire time. It's not you don't want to be seen as weak. You've been seen as weak.
Yeah.
So I think right then and there, Aegon kind of flipped that switch on of, I will not be seen as weak anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of drove some of the further decisions that he's going to have later in this episode. And I'm assuming later in the war too. But yeah, I just wonder the choice of words right then and there to him, to say that to him. But I don't know.
I think Otto tries to fuel with fear, and so I think any type of manipulation or words like that, telling him you've been weak, it's time for you to step up. Anything he can say to get anyone on his side or in his plans, he's going to do. Yeah.
I mean, again, to have that level of just calm and to have 100 steps already planned out after, because I mean it just happened. We had a week to sit with this. It just happened, and he's already here's our plan. That is
he's quick.
Yeah. that is work. Alicent has to go now break the news to Helaena that, hey, there's gonna be a funeral for him and we have to be there. And we have to do this because at a time like this, we have to have the people come closer. And Helena says exactly what I was thinking, what anyone would be thinking. I don't want them closer. I don't know them.
Yeah.
I don't want them any closer to me. The writing in this episode was amazing. That line right there, just her and her anxiety just showing the way that they showed it later, but just that line right there, I was like, yeah, I wouldn't want them any closer to me either.
And you see like the difference between where we have Rhaenyra in the last episode. She's had this time to like grieve, and there's these moments and these days have passed, and like then we're seeing this episode where they're just like, no, we're there's no grieving. We're going full in like, I don't know, like military army mode. Like we're like putting a plan into action. There's no time to sit back and I guess relax over the situation.
No, you bring a good point up, and I think that's because maybe that's how it happened. Again, someone coming into your house while people are awake and walking around for the most part and beheading a child that is asleep in a bed. That, I don't know, man. That is I don't know.
But Rhaenyra could have, when she says like, I want Aemon, time has passed. Like if we could have seen that as soon as that scene ended, that she calls for him. And then, there could have been a quicker escalation. But they give her kind of, that time to grieve. But I wonder if that also kind of just speaks to not Daemon, but the other level-headedness people like in her household compared to what's happening with Otto and his family.
Speaking of Otto and his family, Allison is really trying to tell anyone who will listen to her that she has some news to share. She has to come clean. She has some sins to correct. And the first person she tries to tell it to is her daughter.
What?
Helena is the first person she tries to break the news and come clean to. And Helena already knows. Helena, no, actually not even for that, because Helena caught them. So she tried to say, hey, what you saw, Helena said, this is for the funeral. This is for my son. I can't.
But this all is all happening in the same breath and the same conversation that they're having about the funeral. It's like she just like switched right into damage control. Like, I'm sorry we have to do this, but you didn't see anything.
Yeah, on one hand, I'm sure she's worried about Helena saying something, which I don't know why she would ever be worried about that because she hardly ever speaks. And on the other hand, yeah,
I'd be cryptic. Mother lays along the floor with the man from outside or something.
Something with cinnamon and oranges or something in there. That's his little cryptic thing. Yeah, she had to come clean to her right then and there. Hey, what you saw? Nope. It's for the funeral. Take it. We're not going here. So
yeah.
Thankfully, the procession gets a long way. They said they found the head in a sack.
When they hit that rock.
What I did not expect to happen in any world, in anything, for them to have sewn the baby's head back on, and then for us to have seen his head sewn back onto his little body. That was a sight. But I will say, the body looked good. Is when he was laying on there, I said he looks really, for someone whose head was cut off, they did great work.
They sewed that thing right on.
And it looked like he was sleeping. It looked good.
Well, and yeah, I mean, obviously, it's for the show, but the gruesomeness that we heard happening to that baby and what we saw, nope.
But no, they did a great job. Yeah, as they're, huh?
I was gonna say when they hit that rock, I thought the baby's head was gonna go rolling.
Man, who didn't? Because even before then, when they started walking and moving, you saw
the head was jiggling.
I said, they did a great job. So I'm putting my trust in whoever did this body that he is on tight, and it's not going to pop off. And their work was right. I mean, they hit that rock, carriage went flying forward. he stayed intact. They whoever's on that payroll is doing the damn thing.
David said Helena's cryptic text would be "Mother lays in the coals."
It's probably it absolutely is it. Mother lays in the coals. Ugh.
Oh my gosh.
That's his girl though. You know, whatever. At this time is where we get the name of the episode. They are in the streets. It's just what Otto wanted. He wanted all of the people coming out to see a baby's body laying there, and for them as they're walking through the streets declaring her Rhaenyra the Cruel, Rhaenyra the Kingslayer, the pretender to the throne. So they're denouncing her as they're walking through the streets. Helena's anxiety is visual, and she saw it in the castle, I believe. She looked up and she saw the dust. And then she looked outside and she saw the confetti falling. And we're going to see that Ray later sees the same thing. And in one of the scenes, she looks up towards the window and she too can see the dust. And to me, I don't know if that's, to me, that was them, I guess, just saying ashes from dragons and smoke and stuff. Maybe that's what the two of them were going to see. But the fact that they were both seeing these particles and this confetti kind of falling was interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah. You didn't,
I didn't catch that. Not this. I do know you're talking about for Helena, but I didn't catch that with Rhaenyra.
Yeah, Rhaenyra saw it in the castle. I want to say it was in her room. Either when the person was trying to braid her hair and she kept walking forward like she felt unstill.
Yeah,
it was definitely in a scene where she was in her room. I just can't remember exactly when, but she looked up towards the windows and she can also. I have it in my notes somewhere. We'll definitely get to it, but she also saw it. Yeah, and the anxiety, the acting was acting in that carriage. When that anxiety attacks hit her, especially when the carriage got stuck and Allison had to keep calming her down, man, I said she wanted out of there.
I don't think we're going to be seeing much more of Helena the rest of the season. And if we do pull her back, it's I assume it's going to be something maybe big, or she's going to say something profound, but I just don't feel like we're going to see her again anytime soon, unless she's forced to be out somewhere, but not in her.
I'd say I want to see more of her, but if I know anything of this series or of this whole Game of Thrones universe that George R.R. has built up, is that I do not need to be attached to anyone. Anyone at any time can get it, and I just need to live that with that thought in my head. So I'm not going to get attached. Blood and Larys. So Larys has blood in a cell in the castle.
Yep.
My man was singing like a canary as soon as he saw that open.
Instantly, not.
The only thing he didn't tell was Cheese's name. That's just because he didn't know it. If he knew it, that also would have been. Or
at least he could have said he had a little. I was actually waiting for him to say that he had a dog. It's the rat catcher with the dog.
If Aegon had killed all the dogs, I couldn't have done that. I couldn't have watched it. But no, he gave up every little piece of information he could at the sight of anything. Yeah. So, but Aegon walks in, club in his hand, and then just beats him. So he was murdered right then and there. Ray gets the news. Then we're back on Dragonstone. Ray's getting the news, and they're telling her everything that happened, and she's like, "The fuck are you talking about?" And they think I did this shit.
And just really quick before you move on, I'm surprised that they didn't show us more of that beating with Aegon. Like
why would you want to see more of it?
Well, not that I wanted to, but I feel like the show does a good job of like kind of showing the violence. So I thought that we would maybe get more, and I don't know if it like just to show more of like his anger to it and like what he could be. But we didn't really. I don't know. I was just expecting more from like the beating, like not just the one hit.
I see. What would you think? Like if they had stayed on that more, like I guess like would that have shown something to you for Aegon, or did you need to see? You feel like we needed to see it stay like maybe on that little longer?
I think. The beginning scene, this is the first time we've really seen like rage from him, like, and he's obviously upset, but we haven't seen him do anything violent.
Okay.
So maybe if they would have shown us more, or him really like beating him to a pulp, we got a shot of his face with blood, like with him with like a look. I think it would have just maybe shown us more, shown us maybe more of him not being weak, like,
Okay.
kind of calling back to Otto calling him weak, and then him, now we're seeing him like beat this guy to a pulp.
Okay. I wonder if that's on purpose, because he makes some decisions later on where you're like, you're not strong. Probably not physically, because I feel like he probably only got maybe 2 hits in him, and he was like, this is it. And then mentally, he's not all there either. So I wonder if that was like on purpose. Like you said, they don't. I don't know, but that is a good point. Yeah, we didn't stay on that too long. And if they are about anything, it's watching people get mauled and beaten.
Yeah.
Ray's in Dragonstone just like, who the fuck are y'all talking about? Because she has no idea what anybody is talking about. And then why are they saying it's unto me? And then she was like, there is absolutely no way I would do this. And to Helena of all people, absolutely not. I'm a grieving mother myself. I wouldn't have went out and done this to Helena, which makes sense. And then
the slow
someone says, so a guy basically says, like, look, we know you didn't do it, but somebody here could have taken your words and kind of acted on them without thinking, right? And then Rhaenys is like, don't, nope, cut it. And then she sits down and she goes, to think that someone would think I would do this, right? And looks at Daemon expecting like a
And then like the slow pan over to his little smirk.
I don't know why.
I was like waiting for like, those memes they have like the sunglasses come down. That's just all I was thinking about, is like to just go to Dave and he's just like, yeah.
I know we keep, it's definitely in season 1, every time I can hear it in my mind, like the Curb Your Enthusiasm music, anytime something like a weird scene like that happened. When she sat down and looked at him and he looked back at her, in my mind, I was like, he absolutely, he did. Everyone knows he did this. The man tried to tell you that. Everyone, but I don't know why it took her so long to catch on. But whatever. The two of them go back and some more great acting comes out. This was a very tense scene between the two of them. She's like, I was very, very, very clear in my instructions. I wanted Aemond. I did not want anybody else. He was it. And she says to him, what did you do? And he goes, I told them I said what you said. She wants Aemond, bring him Aemond. And I feel like in this moment, she knows him, because anyone else would have been like, okay, whatever. But she said, what did you say to them if they couldn't find Aemond? What were your instructions then? And I said, oh, shit. Yep. What were your instructions? And I can't remember what he said, but he basically just stumbled and fumbled over his words. So she already knew. She was like, you basically said, yes, I believe you said you wanted Aemond, but you absolutely said, if you can't find him, figure it out. You're on mute.
Yeah, he said find someone, anyone.
He did. She basically then just tells him, I can't trust you. I never could trust you. You were always a challenge to me, which as a kid was great. I'm an adult now and I can't do challenges. My father couldn't trust you. That's why I'm here. None of us could trust you. And basically you used my words at that table to take your own revenge. You knew exactly what I wanted, but you went out and just did this on your own. I don't know if you had any more thoughts about that scene. I've seen it a few times now, and the acting and then the tension and then just, I don't know. That's nothing, Mariah?
No, nothing more that you've already said.
I was like, that was such a great scene. I remember I was doing something. I was eating and I was unwrapping something in that scene, and you could hear the paper crinkling, and Anissa was watching with me, and she turned around and gave me such an evil eye and said, just pause it. And I had to pause it until I could get myself, because she didn't want any interruptions during that scene. Like, she was like, I need to feel their tension. I was like, yeah, it was a great scene. So he's gone. He's on his way to Harrenhal now. Ray and Bela, she then calls for Bela and she's like, look, I just need you to keep an eye on King's Landing, but from a distance. Also interesting that Jace asked to do the same thing and she said no, but then sends Bela out to do it. So
yeah.
I mean, I get it. You just lost your baby. You don't want to send another one out, but
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
sending your stepdaughter though. Mm-hmm. Crispin watches them clear out the baby's room, and in this moment, I know he's feeling guilty because of what he was doing when he should have been watching the baby. So then he decides to just go and just the rage inside of him. Allison and Crispin meet up with each other. He is watching her outside of the room while she's getting a bath, and they're kind of just confirming that they haven't told anybody. And he says, there's no absolution for what I've done. Now, Mariah, this man's count for things that he needs absolution for is probably up to like 20 by now. It's not one singular thing that he's done.
Yeah.
And I thought it was also interesting that she questioned him. Have you told anybody? When at this point, there's been a few people she's tried to tell. So
maybe she felt, I mean, they're both are guilty. I mean, they're both feeling the guilt. So maybe she's just trying to like, I've almost said it. So I'm sure you've almost said it. But she has more people to tell. I mean, unless he's telling the other, those King's Guards or whatever. I mean, I don't know who else he's telling.
I don't know. David's trying to correct me on something. I don't know what he's trying to correct me on, but
next week, I guess we'll find out next week.
He'll correct me.
So you got to tune in next week because David has something to say.
I'm gonna get corrected. Crispin takes all of this internal rage and then displaces it in error on our Eric, our twin Eric.
Yeah. See, guilt,
he's just sitting there trying to enjoy his meal.
Honorable.
Because he's got a little dirt on his cloak. You have dirt on your soul, sir.
Exactly.
He asks him, where were you? I was with the king. I was with the king. That's where I was. I feel like as soon as you hear that, like, exactly. I'm with the king. Why doesn't Helena need protecting? Why weren't you with her? Where were you?
Yeah.
He said we were all, where were you? And the fact that he even said, where were you? I was just like, oh, shit. Mm-mm.
Everyone got up from the tables and scurried away.
Yeah. And then that's when we get this harebrained idea. Sneak into her castle, pretend to be your twin, and kill her. That's the only way you can make this right. Like, I didn't do anything.
Right?
What do I need to make right? Ugh.
That whole scene and like speech he was giving him, Crispin Cole.
That's your Crispin Cole. We see Aegon in a brothel, and I'm just gonna put this on record. I never want to see Aegon in that state ever again. I need him fully clothed with
him in the fetal position.
I need him fully clothed all
that
the
was
time.
Gross.
Every episode.
Yeah.
He's admitting to his I don't know what we were gonna call her. His friend. He's admitting to his friend that, hey, I killed that man on accident. She's kind of just coaching him through life. And it's funny to me, he needs someone to talk to. Mm-hmm. Allison needs someone to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
They're both thinking that each other is mad at each other. They could both just talk to each other, but they're both in this space where they're just like, I don't have anybody else to turn to. So I'm just talking to whoever's near. It's just like you two have each other. You don't realize it, but you two have each other. I don't know. Aegon is super comfy with his friend. There's no eye patch on, and he's completely naked and in a fetal position, like you said. And that's where he was the night they came to try to kill him. So I don't know, but she tells him something.
He feels a little guilt too, a little bit maybe. Like he's like, shit. If I was there, then it would have just been me.
My brother and my cousin, he's like, David is trying to tell my cousin that Crispin is now the man. And I'm like, there is no way that Crispin is any man in any universe, David. I don't, and you know it too. No. You know it too. The whole world knows it. The poor man is being harassed in live action. Had to turn off Instagram comments recently.
Yeah. I just people, come on.
And that is a bit excessive.
If you are on the actor, the real person who was playing the characters' real life pages, talking shit to them, making them feel bad about what the character is doing. Why? I mean, clearly he's doing a good job because he feels some type of way.
He really is. I mean, he absolutely is. And
but
it's funny
for him to have to turn his comments off is like...
I'll see him on TikTok and I see his TikToks and he's just laughing, and sometimes I'm just like, what the fuck are you laughing at? What do you have to be happy about? But then I'm like, okay, this is not him. This isn't him.
Why are you enjoying life?
He's playing that part very well. A little too well, if you ask me. Aegon's friend basically tells him when the princes lose their temper, it's the others that suffer. And then we cut immediately to the blacksmith family. The last time we saw the blacksmith, he was standing before Aegon, and Aegon was promising him, I need you, so I'm going to pay you. But now we're seeing they're living in COVID level despair, where she's got to walk 2 hours and get some chicken, and she's paying 5 times the price for it.
They're not getting that. That's all off the table.
Guaranteed ain't getting that money. Ray and Mysaria, and I've seen this online. I'm going to see what you think, because people thought that there was just this sexual tension between the two of them. I don't see it, but I'm going to see if you did. Ray and Mysaria, Voodoo Queen.
Sexual tension?
There's people saying there was sexual tension between the two of them.
She just had the realization that that's Damien's like mistress. I didn't think that was sexual. I thought that was like, I didn't get that at all.
I don't know. They were like... That was a weird chemistry between the two of them. And listen, that's what the streets are saying.
No, because she like just she just put she just put 2 and 2 together that like, oh, like this is Damien's mistress. Like maybe they mistaken like sexual tension for a little bit of like anger or like pettiness or like, I don't know. That doesn't make sense. I don't know. That it makes sense.
So you're saying the streets are wrong. That's what you're saying.
The streets are wrong.
Okay.
I didn't get that. Did you get it? I didn't get that.
I didn't either, but when Mysaria's on the screen, I half pay attention. So I probably wasn't paying attention very closely to even pick up any sort of anything.
No, I watched it twice, and that's not the vibe.
I also pay way more attention to the subtitles when she's talking. So maybe I was in the subtitles and not in the chemistry between the two of them.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
I don't either. But she's basically asking, she's like, well, tell me what part you had in killing this kid, because she's like, you've been in shit before. I know you've been in this too. What did you do? How did you fuck me over this time? And she's like, look, not me. And all I want you to do is just honor your husband's word and set me free. He promised me freedom after this. I just want to go. Which, of course, Ray's like, no, I can't set you free right now. Duh. You gotta sit here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something in there, but it's something in there, Mariah.
If they hook up later in this series, I'm gonna be pissed. I don't think that doesn't even make sense. Like, doesn't even make sense. No, like, what's her name? I don't even know her name. What's her name?
Is it Mysaria?
Yeah, so she's standing there like, I feel like very afraid of her like life. Like she's clearly a prisoner. She's not
afraid.
Like, well, maybe not like afraid.
She did a very good job of hiding it.
Maybe like not the word like afraid, but she's not standing there like, you know, like happy or wants to be there. Like, you know, she seems a bit remorseful for what she did. And then, you know, she doesn't know how Rhaenyra is going to act. And then Rhaenyra making the realization like, oh, like you're her. Like what sexual tension is that?
I will say this. If I'm Mysaria and I'm a known sex worker, and she knows she's a pretty confident one. She's been around like a lot of high profile people in her world, right? If I need to do anything to save my life, if it's seduce, I'm gonna seduce. So maybe she was giving off like a little seduction vibe.
Yeah, so maybe that's what people mean, but I don't think there was like mutual like sexual tension at all.
No.
I definitely will rewatch it, maybe. But that makes sense. That makes sense if she was trying to give off like a seductive vibe, like just
I
trying
don't
to
know if she will.
survive.
Again, when she's on the screen, I'm in the subtitles. I also didn't pick it up. But then when I stopped to think about it just now, I was like, if I were her, I'd be trying to throw off all sorts of come
No,
hither
that makes
vibes if it
sense.
saved my life.
That makes sense.
I'm going to shamefully say that I still don't understand the scenes with the black people in it. The black men on the beach and stuff.
No, I didn't either. I didn't. So I was thought maybe there was. So he, what's his name? What's the brother's name? Andrew or the black like the bald guy, and then he sees his brother for the first time coming off the boat. Okay.
I'm gonna
Well,
be real racist because to me, I was gonna say Andre and, and something else. I don't know what their names were.
Adam, I don't know. Anyways, so that scene happens, and he's kind of like, "Oh, hey, brother, welcome back." Blah blah blah. I heard Coralize gave you praise. Blah blah blah. And then I thought maybe there was something else coming from it, but then the only other scene we get is the brother on the beach and the dragon flies over. So I didn't
But that's
really
not just
get
any
what.
dragon. Do you know what dragon that was?
Which one was it?
That was Sea Smoke. I do know that. That's Sea Smoke's dragon. Corlys and Rhaenys, his son, who was murdered and was sent off.
Oh,
That's his dragon.
so
So I do.
maybe in the next season something
One
is
of them is
said
going to get
about.
Sea Smoke. I'm sure. Who was the one that was on the beach picking up the crab, and then you see
Yeah,
Sea Smoke flying
that's
around.
the brother. Yeah, that's the brother with the A name. I
Yeah,
can't remember what it
I'm
was.
assuming he's going to get Sea Smoke.
So maybe he lands and he gets on it and it connects. I don't know how
I
that.
guess, but I'm also like, where has Sea Smoke been this whole time? How's he popping up just now? Does he sense danger? He senses something's happening, or maybe he's coming back now.
So maybe yeah, this was just a little like speckle of something to come in the future then, because that didn't make
Sure
sense either. It just happened and then there was nothing else about it. So like okay,
yeah, I'm sure it's setting something up, but it's just like there's black
yeah,
people all of a sudden, and I want to care, but I don't know in what way I should care. I do care.
yeah. No, I know
I
what you're
don't
being
know.
like. I don't know why they're like we've seen them twice. We've seen them each, but they haven't like. So maybe they play like Corlaz and his crew play a much larger role later down the line in the war.
Okay.
And if they have the dragon, like if that was like a sign of like one of them getting the dragon, then that's pretty huge.
I'm pretty positive that he's gonna get the dragon.
Okay.
I also wonder what picking up a live crab out of the beach means. There's so many little clues in here. So you picked up a live crab out of the sand and you're holding it, and all of a sudden a dragon comes around.
Well, because it was like he was surprised that he saw a crab because he was picking up like the shells. He goes back in. He kind of made like a oh, and then he looked up. So maybe it was like he was surprised to grab a crab.
Do you think he's more surprised by the crab or the dragon?
No. I think maybe like you said, the crab, like maybe that symbolized, like maybe the crabs aren't supposed to be there, or like something that symbolized, like we'll find out later. Okay. Or maybe only the dragon circling and there was a crab, like there normally wouldn't be one or something weird. I don't know. But he did make a weird reaction to like grabbing it and then looked up and there's a dragon above.
So many clues, so many little things in here. I'm trying to pick it all up. It's hard sometimes.
I'm sure if Shauna was here, she would know. It's probably in the book.
It might be. Something that I do think is in the book, I want to say I read this. All of a sudden, we get, according to the subtitles again, because I'm all up in all about my subtitles, small folk weeping and crying. So small folk weeping, and then we see all sorts of bodies hanging. Blood basically said he had the help of a rat catcher. Yep. They didn't know what rat catcher, so all of a sudden you see all the rat catchers hanging. At the foot of Cheese, we see our little pup friend again.
Yep.
Looking up at him, and I felt a little sad. He's whimpering. He's sad, but he's off to a life in the streets now.
Yeah.
They also know the king did it, so that's something also that the people are exclaiming as they're weeping and crying. And
who else?
Basically, my son, my brother.
Yeah.
They know it was Aegon.
Something like this. Yeah. After we just like cried about your baby, you go and kill all of our brothers and sons.
Yeah.
So fuck you.
Yeah. Ugh. That was pretty disgusting. Hands down, my favorite scene in the entire episode. Absolutely, right now. Otto is Otto walks into the room with Aegon and Crispin. The king is my grandson, and my grandson is a fool. Now, I watched it the first time, and I was just like, he yells at Aegon a lot, whatever, whatever. But when he said it this time, the king, my king is a grandson, and my grandson's a fool, I immediately thought of Tywin and Joffrey, right? Mm. Tywin did not take any sort of disrespect, any sort of foolishness. There is no sort of craziness in my castle when it came to Tywin and Joffrey. Otto does a lot of hand-holding when it comes to Aegon.
Yeah.
And I was just like, But
I also think Otto just wants to micromanage. Like, Otto wants to be involved and wants to be in charge as much as he can be. He kind of has
to. Do you see who he's working with?
But I think that in general, even we saw Viserys, like he wants control, but he doesn't have it. That's just not, like, being the hand is as much control he'll ever get in his life. So yes, he's hand holding, but also I think he really wants to hold the power as much as he can, or at least he thinks he's holding the power.
Well, he basically tells his grandson, "Look, I set everything up perfectly. I had us 100 steps ahead. They were cursing Rhaenyra's name, Rhaenyra the Cruel, Kinslayer, Pretender, and now they're in the streets cursing your name. Like, you blew it all away just that quickly. They're cursing. Yeah. They went from cursing her to cursing you." Mm-hmm. And Aegon says in this moment, "I want to spill blood. I don't want to spill ink." So he's like to your point earlier, I'm done with being seen as weak. I don't want to be political anymore. At this point, I'm all about breaking heads and taking names. That's it. I don't want to be. I don't want to be. I don't want to be anything anymore.
Mr. Nice
and
guy.
Then he says, "Look, while you're over here playing games, Crispin has already made a move." The slowest head turn in the history of head turns.
Otto
happens here, because you know exactly what that is. As a child who has seen this come my way with my parents, and as a parent who has done this to my child, you've known everything up to this point, right? He knew about the rat catchers. He knew everything that Aegon had done. He knew. What he didn't know was that Crispin had gone out and done anything. So at this point, it's what the fuck am I about to hear? So it's him trying to control himself, calm himself, to prepare himself for what these two fucking idiots are about to say. And Mariah, what do they say? What do they tell this poor man who has come up with some brilliant, unfortunately, has come up with some brilliant plans. As much as I am not Team Green, he's come up with some chef's kiss plans.
He sent Eric to kill Rhaenyra.
Mm-hmm. What else? He sent Eric alone?
To pretend to be his twin. To
Dragonstone by himself to kill Rhaenyra.
It's brilliant.
And then after Aegon says that out of his mouth, he says the word brilliant. Now, if Otto took it he took it better than I did. Like, I think I would have.
Because Otto is a professional, so he knows he's got to keep it like professional, or he can't lose his temper. He's just so calculated, man. Like, his response. I mean, just that.
He called it a prank.
Oh my god. Yes.
He called this idea a prank.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
He calls it a prank. He says they're poorer for Viserys being dead, and basically that, he was right about you. And then Aegon said, "Well, he made me king." And he said, "Is that what the fuck you think?" Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I don't know. He then, the two of them go back and forth. Again, I in this moment, I'm thinking of Tywin, and I'm like, there's no way Tywin would have went back and forth with Aegon. It wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
So.
Because again, but, Otto is just the hand of the king. And I think in that like scene in those moments, I think he kind of forgets that. And that's what I mean. Like Otto really wants to control. I mean, he's put his daughter with Viserys, who was like 100 years old, and she was what, 16. I mean, he's like orchestrated this whole thing. He wants the power. He wants to be in control as much as he can. So I think maybe forgot about that, forgot his place a little bit, and look where it got him.
I think he forgot his place a little bit.
He's 2 for 2 on getting fired from the job. He's out.
And I think he forgot just how much work. It has to be tiring. He had to do a lot of work. There was a lot of pieces that he had to put in place.
Yeah.
And there has to be a time where you just take a step back and say, look, I can't, this is way too much work for me. This is too much work for me. It's too much work. Alicent is running off having sex with her hand. Her hand is off having side meetings with Aegon, with a few other people. Like he's just, I don't know. I don't know. Your grandson is an idiot. Your other grandson is just, he acts very fast. Aegon acts, or Aemon acts really fast. Like he has too many things to try to keep in place, and you can't be everywhere at once. He's kind of, you have to say,
he
like,
would have just let Rhaenyra be queen. None of this would have happened. He tried to orchestrate too much, and now it's like falling, it's slipping out of his palm of his hands.
It's
all
too
this
much
work
to
he's
keep
put
up.
In. It's
a lot.
That's what happens with a lie. It's like a lie. You can't keep up a lie.
Well, he doesn't have to worry about it anymore. Aemon makes him take off his badge, and he's like, you know what? And then Otto's like, no, the fuck you wouldn't. You wouldn't do this. You need me. You need a strong hand. Who else are you going to get? The first person Aegon sees, Kristen. He's done more than you have, so give it to him. This whole house is a joke. I actually felt bad for him with that scene. I said, I don't know. I don't like him, but I was just like, none of them deserve him. So he takes it and just throws it at him. And then that's that. He's the king. He's the hand.
Can he even, what's like the official title? Like, what's his current role?
I don't know. Head of the King's Guard or some shit. That's a Shauna question.
Is it like a conflict of interest? Like, can he be both? And probably, I mean, like, I don't know.
I don't know either. And so it's funny that you asked that, because I said he has armor on. Where is he going to put that pin? He can't pin it to himself.
Yeah.
Where's he going to put it, to his cape?
I don't think this is going to last long. I think he just said it out of like desperation and picked someone. But I don't know. I don't know if this is going to last long.
I was wondering too. I was like, what is Larys going to think when he sees this?
Larys is going to flip his fucking shit.
Wouldn't you? I'm over here behind the scenes making shit happen. The only idea Crispin has had is to send a twin to Dragonstone.
I think Larys he's definitely gonna like swoop in to be like, no, it needs to be me, or he's gonna come up with some plan, or he's gonna expose Alicent and Crispin. He's gonna do something drastic,
probably,
to get into that position. Once he finds out it's up for grabs.
Yeah, because if I'm Larys, I see Otto either as not like as a threat, but I just see him as somebody I can move out the way if I need to. Like, this is his third time. He's out. He's out of touch. You don't need.
And now that he's out, once he finds out he's out,
Crispin is the next person.
Yeah, no, he's taking him out. Something's happened. Larys is coming in hot.
Yeah, that's an easy target. He's got to go. We go back to. I was about to say something very inappropriate that I will not say, but we go back to Rhea and Viseria. She comes downstairs. She has a change of heart. She comes down with Eric and she's like, look, you're right. I'm going to honor my husband's wish. You're good to go, Eric. She's going to get her stuff and she's going to go. And she basically is like, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And as she's on her way down to leave, she sees the bird brain idea coming up the port. And she tells the people, hold on a second. And then she goes back into the castle. Although we don't see her anymore. So I'm like, if you went back to warn somebody, what happened? Because you didn't know. Well, maybe she did. So Eric with an A finds his way inside. Eric with the E is outside. Something brings Eric with the E back at that door. So actually, maybe Viseria did find him and say something's happening. Because I did wonder why all of a sudden he busted back through the door.
Yeah.
I don't know. We get a really, really intense fight scene. The people in the behind the scenes, if you watch after, they basically said, we did not want you at all to know who was who in the fight, to the point where we even gave them the same injuries. If somebody got an injured leg, we gave the other injured leg. So that way it kept you guessing as to who was who in the fight scene. You don't know who is who until after the fight scene. One of them says, we were born together. And then someone says, you parted us, but I still love you, brother. And then Eric with the E kills Eric with the A. And he turns to Rhaenyra, your grace, I'm sorry, and falls on his sword.
Yeah, he couldn't live with killing his brother.
I don't know. That was such a gruesome manner, too.
Yeah, it was.
That was a pretty bad fight. I don't know. That messed me up the first time I saw it. I don't know.
It was sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because it like just didn't have to like happen. Like
there was no reason for Kristen to do that.
There's no reason for him to go and like be sneaky and pretend to be his brother and like, but what I guess, and this is where like Otto's like, what did you think was going to happen? So let's say he gets in there, maybe he gets to her, maybe he doesn't. Like, you just put this guy's life on the line. And
he hates Rhaenyra so much that he didn't care. He knew when he was sending this man off to a suicide a mission. He basically just wanted Rhaenyra dead. So to him, I think it was worth it to kill him, who's questioning, where were you? So at this point, he knows that he's somewhere that he shouldn't have been that night. To go into that castle, kill Rhaenyra, and at that point, 2 birds, 1 stone, because I've got Rhaenyra dead and you dead.
If he kills Rhaenyra, great. If not, well, then he's gone and he's done questioning me. Yeah.
But to me, if you have someone on your team that is so loyal that their brother is gone and I've denounced my brother for this queen in this family,
I know.
That's a strong, that's crazy to lose that, to send that off and for it to die by himself. That's just awful.
But he's just so guilty because he knows he's doing something wrong. He'll do anything to hide that secret.
That's David's man. You know, I don't understand why he's always betting on these weird horses, Alicent and now Cole. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Another funny scene. Probably Otto gave me the funniest. I laughed several times, and this scene was no different. We have Otto and Alicent. Otto's basically like, look, I've been fired. There's nothing else here for me. I'm gone. I'm gonna go. I forgot where he's gonna go, but he's gonna go
back to
over to
the high
other
towers.
Side. Yep.
Yeah.
He's off somewhere. He said Aegon and Crispin need to be kept in check separately. The 2 of them together absolutely need to be kept in check. That is a recipe for disaster. He knows it, and he's basically stating it right there.
Yep.
No one is thinking for the good of the realm right now, which including him. I don't know why he's saying that, but everyone's just hell-bent on vengeance. I don't know. Before he leaves, he grabs Alicent's arm and basically is like, look, I still believe in everything as long as, I have you. I still know that we can do this. And he's touching her and he's looking into her eyes so lovingly. It feels like a perfect father-daughter moment for a secret to come out, right, Mariah? She's like, oh my God, my dad loves me. He's letting me know he loves me. This is my moment to tell him, Father, I have sinned. Otto looked her dead in her fucking eyes, smiled, shook his head ever so slightly, and said, I do not wish to hear of it.
I know.
It's just funny. It's on one hand, it's like, Otto, you don't give a shit about this girl. You say you do. You care about what she can do for you. She's looking at you and she needs you in this moment as her dad. She's like, Dad. She felt enough in that moment while he's holding her and saying, look, you're my daughter. And as long as I have you, I'm good. We're good. And then she's like, look, I've sinned. And he said, I do not wish to hear of it. So either he already knew what she was about to say, and he's like, I don't want to hear that.
No.
Or he's just like, look, I don't give a shit about any of this. This family's foolishness right now. I'm done with this foolishness right now.
He's defeated. His whole plan is just gone to shit. He said, send me back home.
I want that on a t-shirt. Done. If someone just emails me the middle of the day, like, I'm fucked up, I do not wish to hear of it. Don't tell me. Bother somebody else.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. But we also learned, and maybe we didn't learn this at some other point, but they have like the son that's over there that we haven't been introduced to yet.
Yeah. I forgot where he's going, but yeah, she's basically like, go with him. So yeah, he's off in some land somewhere. I'm sure if Sean was here, she could tell me where.
Whatever the high towers are, that's where the other son is.
I thought that's where he was going, but then she said, no, don't go there, go over here. Oh, so he's off somewhere else. I can't remember where he's off to.
I wonder if that son's going to play a part at some other part, like if they're going to bring him in. I guess if Aegon dies, then he would be heir to the throne. I don't know.
I kind of read ahead, so I kind of know what parts people are going to play from now on. So I don't know. They'll probably change it up, but
no.
I couldn't do secrets anymore. I had to know, even the dragons. I had to know how and when everybody goes. So, Alicent's running through the halls and she catches Aegon, and I mean, homie is crying his eyes out. He is in a chair. He is weeping.
Alicent is wild.
Sobbing. And this is where, again, I heard two different things on this. Because she turns around and she leaves. Mm-hmm. So on one hand, I heard this is the time where she was being a mother. She knew he needed a moment. Like, he just needed to be by himself. And he just needed to get that out. Other hand is, he needed you. He needed someone right then and there to hold him, to tell him something. Because he hasn't had that.
Yeah.
He's had outbursts, but he hasn't had someone just wrap their arms around and tell him, look, I'm here. I love you.
A hand on the shoulder. Like just a something.
Acknowledgement. Even if you don't need me even if we don't want to talk, I'll sit right here with you off the distance, whatever you need, I'm here. But she turns around and she leaves.
Even Cersei would have put like the hand on the shoulder and been like, I know, and then walked off and fucked some shit up. But Alicent walked up and fucked Crispin. Alicent is wild. Like, I don't know. Not the
Alicent goes straight to the person who she says, we can't do this anymore, and does exactly that thing that she said they can't do anymore.
Smacks him a couple times, hate and love's a fine line, and then fucks him. And that's how it ended.
Alicent absolutely should have held Aegon or something. I'm walking off was a mistake.
Just a little something.
I'm not the camp
motherly touch. a little acknowledgement.
Maybe this war would have turned out much differently. So again, it all falls back on her lap that we're here, and then everything's going to go get fucked pretty soon. I have a question. So in the castle, there's chaos. You got the king crying his eyes out. You've got Helena mentally gone. You got Alicent running around in shambles trying to keep secrets. Just a whole bunch. It's just Otto was like throwing his hands up. I'm done with y'all. This is in the castle. Outside the castle, you have people walking 2 hours for chicken. Prices are inflating. Rat catchers are being hanged.
Yeah.
It's kind of chaos. Where are you? Where would you want to be? In the castle or out of the castle?
In the moment, or like
in this time? If you were in Kingsland in this time, would you want to be in the castle with their chaos?
I mean, I'm definitely not going to be out in the dirt with the peasants. So in the castle. You
think you can make it in that castle?
Yeah. I don't know what part, but in the castle. As much as I hate Larys, I think he's like in a good spot because he's not a maid, but then he's not like really, really important. He's just like, living life. in the middle, doing his part. That's where I want to be, like just floating, coasting through the castle. Because you don't want to be like a maid, but then you don't really want to have the responsibility. You just want to survive. You don't want to be out in the dirt with the peasants. You want to have bath water.
So you think your chances of survival are better in the castle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Than out on the street.
I mean, not like you're living. I mean, you have a house. I mean, you could have a home, but either you're a commoner, small folk, or you're in the castle.
I guess in the castle. The castle, okay. Yeah. I mean, there's just too many questions I have. I can't just answer this, like quality of life, like what's my job? Like I can't just say like I'm in the like.
You're not playing a game of Match real quick. Am I in a mansion, an apartment, a shack? Where am I?
I think most people would probably prefer to be in the castle in this time, but you know.
Okay. I don't know.
Where do you want to be?
I wouldn't want to be in the castle. They got too much going on, and there's this crazy war going on between family. And if you really get down to it, it's a war. They're fighting over something they shouldn't even be fighting over, and the escalation, the level that they're about to take this shit to, over this little disagreement.
Definitely don't think anyone's safe. Like they're gonna come through with those dragons, fire and all to those town folks down below. I don't think it matters where you're at. If you're talking about like war and who's going to survive, you need to be out in the countryside. I need to be off far away. In what's the little land that's in the South Dorne? Somewhere down there.
Do you think I know what direction all these places are?
Maybe we're like coral or like with corals, like the what do you call the stepstones or whatever they call them where they're at.
Okay.
Maybe somewhere over there.
You want to be in the stepstones. But again, you don't want to be in the castle. You just want to be out. But in another area.
Yeah, you only gave me two choices. You said in the castle or the Commonwealth.
Well, yeah, I know. I said in the castle or the castle. But you're saying you want to be out of the castle and out of the city. You don't even want to be in the gate.
Like if there were binoculars at that time, I could sit on a hill and watch.
And just watch.
What was going on.
Like they used to in the Civil War. Just sit and watch from a distance.
Bingo.
Watch the war from a distance. CJ asked, you all don't think it's significant when they asked Ray's kids about his real dad. So in that scene with Baela and Jace, where Baela stops and says, what was my uncle like? And then what about Harwin Strong? I did think it was weird. I thought it was bold, but she knew she could ask him. And I think that was the only person she could have asked, because you're not going to ask Rhaenyra about that. You're not going to ask the parents about that. So
yeah, I didn't really understand that scene. I didn't really look into it either. So maybe I'm like missing something, but I didn't really understand the significance.
She's basically, she knows that her uncle isn't their dad. So, they're basically living under the lie that Corlys and Rhaenys' son is Jace and Luke's dad when he's not. Their dad is Harwin Strong. So she's openly saying, hey, what was my uncle like? And he says, oh, he loved teaching us shanties and giving us all this stuff. He loved cake. And then she goes, oh, okay, now what about your real dad? What about Harwin?
Got it.
And there was no hesitation. He answered immediately. And I think that, if anything, that goes to show the relationship that the two of them have, where she feels comfortable enough to openly ask that. And then he trusts her enough to say, oh, yeah, I think he loved us. And she was like, he absolutely loved you. What are you talking about? So I think that just goes to show their relationship. They're extremely comfortable with each other. They really trust each other. And yeah.
So maybe that'll play a part later on.
David is trying to tell us that Daemon did not tell them to kill that kid. It was genuinely a mistake. There is absolutely no way that was a mistake. Daemon, they asked, if we don't find the child, then what? And then they cut away. When they get into that room, they're holding Helena with that knife. And Cheese says, he said, a son for a son. In the conversation that Daemon has with Blood and Cheese, he never says those words. That is what he said when the camera cut away. What if we can't find Aemond, a son for a son?
Yeah.
So he absolutely told them to kill that kid. So, sorry, David. And if that's where you want to correct me on, we can absolutely fight about that one, because that absolutely is what he told them. A son for a son. I don't know.
Well, next week.
He definitely, and then CJ said, yeah, it was a mistake. He didn't care about it. He absolutely didn't care.
No, did not.
It was, nope. Somebody had to go. And again, like Rhaenyra kind of said, you're using my words for vengeance. He wanted someone to die in that castle. Unfortunate it was a child, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So for the fact that everyone at that table is talking about a beheaded child and he's just sitting there side-eyeing and smirking just says enough. Like,
I know.
He was a consequence of war to Daemon. So
yeah.
Really sad. To everyone but Daemon.
Yeah.
I don't know. Thoughts on the episode?
I liked it better than the first one. So not that I didn't like the first one, but I did like it this one better. So I'm hoping this is like the progression. It's just gonna keep getting, better and better.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it was good. The auto, I mean, it was good to see auto down. Like it was good to see, yeah, auto down, man. I really enjoyed that scene.
I'm actually pretty excited that I was excited that I could laugh because coming from an episode where we just beheaded a kid, I didn't know what was going to happen this week, and I was pretty tense because I know it's all going to go downhill from here after that. So to come into this episode where we get really good acting, the writing was strong, and I can laugh. Otto made me laugh on several occasions. He was my MVP this episode. Like, I definitely did like this episode more than the first one too. I know that I probably won't laugh anymore for the rest of the season, so I will hold to those moments dearly. Thank you, writers, for just giving me those moments, because I don't think we're going to get them anytime soon. So
yeah, no. How many is 8 episodes?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. Get us to the end of July. Well, yeah. What does Anissa think? Where's she at?
She literally just walked back in the house from Korean barbecue. I don't know. She walked back to her room, so I don't know.
Went to hear her frustrating
screams of the episode. Like I said, her favorite part was the Daemon and Rhae part. She went off about that. I don't remember her actually having any other reaction while we were watching except to that scene.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Well.
All right.
We'll see you next week.
Another one in the books. See you next week. Thank you so much for listening. You are the sign-off master, if you would please.
So, if you're listening to this on like Apple or Spotify, you know what? I actually just got a notification about a new podcast thing. What was it? Oh, maybe it's like Apple Podcasts is like really taking off, or they like revamp their whole Apple thing. So I don't know what you're listening to us on, but maybe check out Apple. And we're not sponsored. Apple. We're not sponsored by Apple. But
no.
I got a notification about them doing something. So I don't know where you're listening to us to, but thank you.
That was a very random ramble, but okay.
And if you're watching live, thank you. Riverside that we record on just like made it super easy to connect to YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. So apparently Twitter, but I don't know if we actually went through or not. So, and we need 10,000 followers on TikTok so we can live stream there. So follow us and tell your friend. We're about 8.
Right. Okay. Remember what I said?
We're about 9,800 people away from that. Thanks.
Remember what I said? You're the sign-off queen. At this point.
Anyways, okay. Thank you. Follow us. Comment. Tell us how we're doing. Give us a good rating. Tell your friends. And we'll see you next week. And we're always live streaming now, so this is happening. So if you're listening to this like this week, next Tuesday, I'm assuming, we will also be recording. I think Tuesdays is the day for right now.
Tuesdays is pretty cool, yeah.
for this.
Here we are live on Twitter. Yes.
Here we are. Actually, just follow us. Follow us on YouTube.
Oh, goodness.
And then you'll get the notification. I think follow us on Twitch, and then you'll get the notification that we've gone live. So just keep your schedule clear around 5:30 every day. And then you'll get a notification.
5:30 your time.
5:30, yes. 5:30 Pacific Coast time.
This is the longest
8:30 East
ever.
Coast. So, all right. Bye.